So you have a crush, and all the movies out there encourage you to confess. Don't. Don't do it if you're going in with this mentality. I'm just gonna try out my chances and see if my crush likes me back. This is the gambling or buying lottery type of mentality. You have no idea how your crush will react, so you take a shot, hoping that luck will work in your favor. The problem with this approach is that it's quite self-centered, even though you may have to muster up a lot of courage in doing so, because contrary to public belief, a love confession is actually not about you spewing out your feelings one-sidedly. Doing so may simply scare your crush away.
I love you!
Which is something I accidentally discovered from studying over 20 plus couples. So for the past year, I've been attending a lot of weddings as most of my friends are entering the marrying age, mid-20s. Through all these weddings, sometimes the newlywed couple likes to talk about like how they met and how they got together. Listening to these stories, I discovered something strange. Rarely ever did the couples get together through a blind confession. Like the stories almost never went something like, oh, I had no idea how she felt about me, but I decided to take a shot and confess anyways. Instead, the confessions usually happen when the two people already knew they liked each other, that their feelings were mutual. So the confessor went in knowing the confession would succeed. As a result, the confession didn't feel like a gamble at all. It felt more like a ceremony, a stamp to acknowledge that this is a serious relationship. This reinforces a long-held suspicion of mine. Does blind confession even work? Because growing up, looking at all the examples around me from friends and families, it seems that blind confessions rarely ever work. Like whenever a friend of mine confessed with this gambling mindset, it mostly resulted in failure, which makes sense logic-wise, because if you have no clue whether your crush likes you back, that means they have not shown any clear signs. In that case, chances are they probably don't like you. That being said, I could have misremembered things, so to test my point, I decided to investigate further. I sent out a survey to all my close friends where I asked them, have you ever confessed to someone? If so, did you already kind of know that that person likes you back, or was it a blind confession? And what was the confession outcome? And here is my survey results. Of the times when they were almost sure that their crush liked them back, 94% ended in success and only 6% failed. Of the times when they were somewhat sure their crush liked them back, 68% ended in success and 32% failed, which is a significant regression from the previous scenario. Of the times when they confessed blindly, aka having no idea whether their crush liked them back or not, only 16% succeeded and a whopping 84% ended in failure. So failure here means rejection, either by saying they don't feel the same way or that they're not ready for a relationship yet, which supports my hypothesis. Blind confessions tend to fail. Alright, seeing this, some of you may go, so are you saying I should just give up on my crush? Well, no, don't lose hope yet. Just because they don't have feelings for you now doesn't mean you guys are finished for good. There's still chance for romance to develop between you. Let me explain. In the same survey, I also asked my friends if they had ever been confessed to, and for the times they rejected the confessor, I asked them why. Now, I had assumed that they probably rejected the confessor because they disliked the confessor, but to my surprise, some of the rejections didn't happen because of dislike. They happened because the confessions felt very abrupt and out of the blue. Abrupt in the sense that they had always just been friends with no romantic cues ever being brought up, and then suddenly there was a confession which felt out of place as the idea of them being other than friends hadn't crossed the recipient's mind yet. So when the recipient said no, it's not that they couldn't see the confessor in a romantic light, it's just that up until then they hadn't pictured themselves that way yet. So it's not a no forever, it's more like a not yet. Also, in my survey, of the times when the confession was successful, the majority said that they had sensed it coming, that the confessor had already given cues prior to the confession. So now we've reached a conclusion. Instead of charging headfirst for a blind confession, maybe try giving out some cues first. See how your crush reacts, then go from there. So when it comes to this topic, there's a lot of advice on the internet. Some say you should act very eager, like offering compliments all the time. Some say you should flirt. Some say you should create physical contact. I wanted to know which tip works the best. So I asked my friends to rate the effectiveness of these popular internet tips. And the result is confusing, or rather contradictory. Tips that work for friend A may not work at all for friend B. For example, some people really like physical contact while others hate it, perceiving it as harassment. Some think giving compliments is a solid sign, while others think it could just be the person being nice, so it's not a good romantic cue. So it really depends on the individual. This got me thinking, are there any tips that work universally for everyone? Ideally, they should, number one, send a very clear romantic signal that's not to be mistaken for friendly gestures. Number two, be very innocuous. Do not come across as pushy to the recipient. And yes, there are. Although it's not a specific tip, it's more like an approach. Actually, two approaches. First is treat your crush differently from everyone else. Almost everyone in my survey said that as soon as this happened, they immediately knew that person had romantic feelings for them. The logic behind this is that if someone likes you romantically, then one thing is for sure, which is that they must treat you in a somewhat different way than other acquaintances. Because after all, what makes a couple? Regardless of sexual orientation or race or whatnot, a couple is always about two people in love. Two people, not three people, not four people, but two people. This duality means romance is inherently exclusive. A couple shares this bond no one else in the friend circle does. So if someone likes you romantically, they won't treat you like just any other friend. I know all these might still sound pretty vague, so let's check some real life examples. Zendaya and Tom Holland. So this couple has been dating for a few years now, and as of January this year, they are allegedly engaged. So at this point, we all know that they are the real deal. They're that serious. However, prior to this relationship, they each had some popular fanships with other people. For example, one popular fanship from Zendaya's side was she and Zac Efron. They were in a film together back in 2016, and ever since then, there have been fanship videos of she and Zac, which got a lot of views. I've watched all of them, and yes, their interaction was pretty cute. I can kind of see why people used to ship them. Because if you rely on one of those internet lists like 5 clues that she likes you, you would think that their interaction ticked off many boxes from the checklist. They were really interested in what the other person was saying. They were laughing together and chatting away, looking pretty happy.
Well, literally, issues that were hard. Like we're spinning at like 3 Gs. Here.
They were giving each other compliments.
She's leading by example, just through osmosis.
They displayed positive body language.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
least proud of
There you
yeah.
go.
There you go.
But if you do a bit of research and watch how Zendaya is with other male friends, you'll notice she's pretty much like this with all of them. Friendly, like super chill, gets along with everyone, overall just good vibes. So how can we distinguish when she feels platonic versus when she feels romantic? It all seems very unclear and murky. That is until you see how she interacts with Tom. Oh boy, only then will you realize what true chemistry looks like. The difference is evident. For one, there's a lot more teasing going on. She's confident enough around him to be sassy and even a bit feisty, almost as if she isn't afraid to slightly annoy him. And I don't know how to describe this in words, but she's got this subtle motherly nurturing vibe with Tom that I've never seen her have with any other guy. Plus, she will laugh non-stop at his random, to put it bluntly, pointless jokes. To be fair, she laughs with other people too, but it's more like, actually funny stuff. But with Tom, half the time I'm like, girl, why are you even laughing? That ain't funny at all. So it's only when you make this comparison that you realize who she friend zones versus who she likes. And it doesn't take an eagle eye to be able to spot this. In the Zendaya and Zac ship video, a lot of people comment that there's no flirting going on, they just look like good friends. Whereas pretty much everyone can see the chemistry in the Zen and Tom video. The second approach is the OOC approach. OOC standing for out of character. Do things for your crush that's a little bit out of character for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be out of personality. It could also be out of living habit. For example, let's say you're a habitually late person, but suddenly you become punctual to meet your crush. Or let's say you never cared about looks, but suddenly you start working out and get like fancy haircuts, etc. If you're willing to make these kinds of compromises for your crush, then that's a solid sign, showing that not only do you have romantic interest in them, but that you're taking it seriously. Because here's the thing, there's a difference between having a shallow, flashy crush versus actually wanting to be with someone. You could have 1,000 fleeting surface level crushes in your life. Like right now, I consider myself having a crush on a million celebrities. I like Harry Styles, I like Chris Hemsworth, I also like Jungkook. However, am I willing to do anything for them? Well, not really. The most I'm willing to do for them is to check their Instagram and maybe give a like. That's it. I'm not even willing to spend $20 on their album because I'd rather spend that money on like Uber Eats. So what this means is that my so-called love towards them is extremely superficial, void of any substance or support. And in this video, we're not interested in this type of superficial love. Instead, we're interested in the type of crush that could potentially develop into a relationship. So the willingness to do things for the other person is key. It does not need to be a grand act. Like, we're not talking about giving expensive gifts or anything like that. It could be little things or even just twists in small details. Again, let's check some real life examples. Jodie Foster and Alexandra Haddison, one of my favorite Hollywood couples, but also a pair that hasn't had it easy due to the whole coming out pressure. Yet despite these societal obstacles, they've managed to stay strong for decades. Something really rare in Hollywood where divorces are the norm. And the key is that they genuinely care and make compromises for each other. For example, last year, they initially made plans for their anniversary, but Jodie got invited to a last-minute event. According to Jodie, Alexandra was very understanding and was more than willing to adjust their anniversary plans. So it's these little sacrifices that hold a relationship together. Another example is the Song couple back in 2017. Now, I know they're divorced now. This is just for illustrative purposes and not intended to ship them. Back when the dating rumor broke out in 2017, they initially denied it, claiming to be just friends. However, some details revealed they were more than that. One detail I found particularly interesting was that once they took the same flight to Seoul. After landing at the Seoul Incheon airport, one took the VIP exit while the other used the regular exit. Normally, the VIP passenger would leave first, but they both exited at the exact same time, so they did that on purpose. All the paparazzi and fans were waiting at the VIP exit, so one drew all the attention, allowing the other to slip out unnoticed, free of chaos. This gesture seemed small, but enough to give away they were dating. Alright, so to sum this video up, confessing blindly is a pretty risky move. If you're not willing to take that risk, try dropping hints first. If your crush reacts well to your hints, then you can go from there. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.